what Bush did. I don't know what Obama did.
Couple quick points. If you don't know what Bush did and you don't know what Obama did, why did yesterday you speak as if you knew what Bush did and knew what Obama did? Number one. Number two, John Kelly is a hero. His son, fallen, is a hero. John Kelly did attend, our Jeff Zeleny tells us, a 2011 White House Gold Star Families Breakfast organized by the Obamas, General Kelly sitting at Michelle Obama's table. I wish maybe we were paying tribute to the, I wish we didn't have to talk about this at all. If we were talking about it, we should be paying tribute to 4 heroes who died on a military operation and maybe explaining what that was about. It's hard to get details from the Pentagon on what it was about and the details of it. Why? Why are we here? Why can't the president just talk about what he does, how he handles these things? Why does he have to draw some comparison, factually incorrect comparison, to his predecessor?
Why does he have to talk about how he handles it at all? I'm not even sure what the point is. Who cares more about fallen soldiers and their families? For all the promise that Trump came into office with, they painted himself as this transformational figure that, by his very dynamism, would shake up Washington. This is his Achilles heel here. We saw that yesterday during his news conference. Almost every question resulted in an answer that was about the president and not about the issue at hand. And now he's created this controversy that's not going to help tax reform. It's not going to help the budget. It's not going to help elect more Republicans. And now he's doing something that, with John Kelly's son, that John Kelly himself wasn't willing to do. It's been reported a little bit that John Kelly gave a speech 4 days after his son died in Afghanistan. 4 days after he died in 2010, he gave a speech, a Veterans Day speech, about the call of duty, the sacrifices that families make, without once mentioning his own son. John Kelly, this hasn't been reported that much, but was out of the White House for a couple of days, a couple of weeks ago, because he has an annual golf outing to raise money in his son's name. And he's not talking about it. But yet the president feels the need to do it, and it just creates another mess for his aides, for his White House to have to clean up.
And it wasn't even the question he was asked. He was asked why hadn't he addressed the fact that this ambush took place that resulted in the loss of 4 American Green Berets. But he himself took it there, and in the course of it felt the need to praise himself somehow. I think that's the impulse we see with him a lot. And it doesn't matter so much necessarily when he's talking about tax reform or something else, but when he's talking about, oh, I do military deaths better than previous presidents, I mean, there's no good place to go from there.
Yeah, I would urge everyone to read the speech that Mike is referencing in terms of General Kelly. It's it's very powerful, and given some of the stuff that we all cover and watch and listen to on a daily basis, perhaps it would ground you in some reality about the realities of the world on some level. Look, this is a very solemn issue, and I think there's a reason why past presidents, particularly the last 2, because they've been wartime presidents, don't talk about it a lot, and you don't hear about what they were doing, and that's by design. You don't necessarily know when they're going to Walter Reed or when they're going to Dover or what they've done with parents. That's by design. They don't want the media attention because they recognize that that's not what it's about. It's not about media attention. The president was right when he said, this is the toughest thing that I have to do when I'm in office. That's what President Trump said yesterday. That's what every president who's been in a similar position has repeated. What they don't do is go out and talk about how and why and their methods and who did it before them. It is a very solemn obligation to the person that sends these individuals into combat, sends these individuals into their eventual deaths. And I think what's unsettling about it, and I think what was kind of jarring yesterday, is you're just not used to hearing about it. This is something that every president, a wartime president, deals with, and they deal with it in their own way. You've heard many stories with President George W. Bush, who would sit there, and families would just yell at him, and he would sit there and he would listen. You never heard about it from him. You never heard about it from his staff. You heard about it from the families afterwards. Similar types of stories about President Obama. It's unclear, I think, to a lot of people why this was something that needed to come up yesterday.
To get back to your question about what are the president's motivations, I think there's sort of a misunderstanding in Washington or in many areas of the country. But I do think that many things that we reporters think about as substance, tax reform, health care, some of those things are distractions to the president, and many things that we think of as distractions are substance to the president and his voters. And in a lot of ways, I think the NFL controversy or the Gold Star family controversy or this, These are substantive issues for Trump and for his base. And I think the president has a good, better, best way of thinking about a lot of things where everything in his mind is comparative. And I think his executive orders speak to this. Any way that he can really stick it to his predecessor, despite their protestations of friendship during the transition, he likes to do it, and it's something that many members of
Patriotic Trump voters would draw a line at families of the fallen, because when you go after your predecessors and how they handle families of the fallen, especially if you do it in a way that's not factual.
You know, I do
you're
think there
dragging
was a
those
feeling
families
among
into it,
some
too.
Trump voters that Obama lacked patriotism in certain ways, and that Trump has an instinct to say, I'm more, Trump's nationalism is about displays of patriotism. I think the NFL issue spoke to that as well.
Well, I'm sorry, as I said, I'm sorry we have to talk about this in a political context as well. As we go to break, let's show you 4 American heroes. I don't know if they're Democrats. I don't know if they're Republicans. I don't know who their families voted for. I don't care. 4 American heroes, that's what we should be focusing on.